are the only ones fighting for the truth of what happened to John O'Keefe. And me and my family and my attorneys and my team have marshaled every resource to get to the truth. It just feels like no one else wants it.
And Karen, just to be clear, you didn't do it.
We know who did it, Steve. We know. And we know who spearheaded this cover-up. You all know.
Yes, we do.
And no, she didn't do it. No, she didn't do it. This is an innocent woman. She didn't do it.
I tried to save his life. I tried to save his life at 6 in the morning. I was covered in his blood. I was the only one trying to save his life.
Why'd you admit to it?
She didn't admit to it. She didn't admit to anything close to that. Nothing close to that. And you should know that.
That was like 3 or 4 times she said it.
No, she didn't.
That's not true.
She asked a question.
It makes absolutely no sense. That is the Commonwealth grasping at straws. If it walks like a duck and talks like a duck, it's a duck.
We have the 8 letters. We've seen them. We've read them. We are using them. The genie cannot be put back in the bottle.
Yeah, LTL true crime, we going deep in the dark. Yeah, peeling back the layers, expose the hidden mark. From the streets to the alleys where the secrets lie, getting into minds of the wicked, no alibi. LTL true crime, unraveling the web of evil. No stone left unturned, we dive into the prime. Yeah, we digging up the dirt, bringing justice to the crime. LTL true crime, unveiling dark realities every time. Yeah, LTL true crime, we going deep in the dark. Peeling back the layers, expose the hidden mark. From the streets to the alleys where the secrets lie, getting into minds of the wicked, no alibi. Never get thought of your thought, and the look at the folks. LTL true crime, I go. We don't get live in the show, but then I'm not talking about it, that's so. Look at the place in your phone. No tension with your life. Good now, true with your love. We thought of your thought, never get thought of your thought, and the look at the folks. I bring down true crime, I'm done with dark realities every time. This is I bring down true crime, I'm done with dark realities every time. Yeah, LTL true crime, we going deep in the dark. Yeah, peeling back the layers, expose the hidden mark. From the streets to the alleys where the secrets lie, getting into minds of the wicked, no alibi. LTL true crime, we going deep in the dark. Yeah, peeling back the layers, expose the hidden mark. From the streets to the alleys where the secrets lie, getting into minds of the wicked, no alibi. LTL true crime, we going deep in the dark. Yeah, peeling back the layers, expose the hidden mark. From the streets to the alleys where the secrets lie, getting into minds of the wicked, no alibi.
Well, good Monday evening, everybody. Welcome back to LTL True Crime. We are live here on March 25th, 2024. I want to welcome everybody into the live show. We have an amazing show planned for you, and this is I think this is the 3rd time I've had Rita on, and I'm not going to make her wait too much longer backstage, but she's going to come on and talk about her campaign for Canton Select Board, and I'm very, very honored to have Rita back to the show. Let's bring her in here. Oh, let me get her on here. Hey, Rita, how are you?
Good. How you doing, Brian?
I'm well. Welcome back to LTL True Crime. I hope next time we do one of these, you'll actually be able to come into my live studio. I've been working on that over the past couple of weeks. I'm getting a key to my official move-in date on April 1st. And we're going to be doing a full build out, and I'll be able to actually have live guests in the show. So I got to have you in at some point.
Oh, congratulations on that. That's exciting.
Yeah. So I got you here. This is now, I think the last time we did this about a week and a half ago, maybe 2 weeks ago. You're kind of into the heat of your campaign now. And I wanted to check back in with you. And I said, anytime you want to come on and have a platform, I wanted you over here. So give us some updates on the campaign. How's everything going so far?
Oh my God, it's unbelievable. The energy, the excitement, it's just unbelievable. It's been a lot of work. I feel like I've been working 3 full-time jobs between my full-time job and, Karen Reed supporting her and the case and the select board meetings and now running for my campaign. I mean, I got into the race like 2 days before you could actually get into the race. And it was a last minute decision. And I was pushed over the edge by the decisions that they made around the police audit. And I just couldn't stand for what they did. Yeah. And that was the final straw. People had been asking me for months to run for select board. And, my dad, I almost lost my dad a year or so ago, and he's 90 and my aunt's going to be 95. And, I wanted to spend the time with them, but I had to get into the race. And I'm so glad I did. People are amazing.
Yeah, so I was going to ask, like, what's been the public response so far? Like, I guess in and around Canton and then, outside of Canton, what kind of response are you getting? Because obviously you've been one of the most, I would say the predominant people that have been in the Free Karen Reed movement. You're always, you're not shy. You get out there right in front of the news cameras. You get out in front of all the reporters, which is like great. And you bring this like amazing spirit to the movement. You have such a good heart. And when you speak, I can totally tell that it's all from sincerity. Like you really care about this. So it's, again, tell me like, what's been the public response like?
Oh, it's been incredible. People have been coming from all over to help support my campaign, and people have been donating from all over. And I just want to say to everyone who has helped, whether, they've donated, whether they've held signs, whether they just cheered me on in the background, I want to say thank you so much. It means so much to me. And it's overwhelming. And it's what I see here with the Karen Reed movement and with, my campaign, which they really came together because it's truth and justice. And we have problems on the select board. We have conflicted people who are involved in the murder of John O'Keefe. And what I have seen are the best Americans in this country come together for truth and justice and to make this country right and to make truth powerful again, to stamp out gaslighting. There's too much gaslighting going on. And people have come from all over. It doesn't matter. We are here to defend democracy. We are here to defend our rights, and we are here to celebrate our rights. And what we're making this election is a celebration of your right to vote. And we're making it a party, and we're dancing on the sidewalks, and the cars go by, they beep the horns, they roll down the windows. I give them some of my beautiful pens. Nice. And I tell them to bring the whole family out, and anyone who's watching, who knows anyone who lives in Canton, I ask you, please get on the phone, send them a text, ask them to vote. And vote for the challengers. Vote for me, and vote for the challengers. With the exception of Kathy Gibbs McCormick, she's the only incumbent, and the librarians. Other than that, vote for the challengers, because we are the ones who care. We are the ones who are going to make a difference, and we are the new blood, and we are the ones who live by the laws.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, from what I hear and what I understand, I mean, for years, as I've gotten more involved in doing these lives and learning more about the Karen Reed case and the people that are involved and the towns just the surrounding towns involved. I think the biggest thing that I am coming to understand is transparency. I don't think there's been a lot of transparency in Canton and around those surrounding towns. And I think this has an opportunity where you can vote for someone like Rita in this campaign and be able to be sure that you will get full transparency now. Because I believe, in my opinion, that a lot of the people that are on that board are just there because of their name, because maybe who they know, who they're involved with. And you just look at things like the Karen Reed case and the murder of John O'Keefe. There's not transparency in that case. We're seeing the curtain being pulled back on the wizard, You know, that's
Yes.
I
Oh, yeah.
literally call this it's the Wizard of Oz. Like, don't pull back the, you know, what does he say? Don't look at
He
the
said,
man
"Hey, don't
behind the
pay attention
curtain.
to the man
Yeah,
behind the
the
curtain."
curtain. And I think
Right.
that you're going to be able to get that with Rita if you vote for, you know, for her for select board. So, how do you feel about transparency in Canton? Do you think that that's something that has been there?
No,
And
no.
no,
And the more, Karen Reed was the, the case. And let me just say this, the Commonwealth and these murderous people, okay, have stolen 2 years from this woman's life
yeah,
and have stolen the love of her life. And she can never get that back. She can never get that back. And I'm so grateful that all these people have come together in support of her, because Karen Reed could be any of us. And that's why I stood up for her, because I knew that I had the expertise to help her. And I looked at her and I said, "Oh my God, that could be my daughter." And what if it was me? If I don't have the courage and the tenacity to stand up for her, then who will stand for me if something should happen to me?
right.
And this is lead by example. And in terms of accountability in this town, so Karen, the murder case opened our eyes that something was wrong. And the more I attended select board meetings and the more we tried to work with the select board, who personally, I mean, I like many of them, except for Chris Albert. I have no respect for him.
I got a
But
question about that later. Anyway, we'll go
yeah,
back to Chris Albert in a moment. Go
yeah,
ahead.
yeah, yeah. He lives in Stoughton, but so yeah, he thinks we don't know, but we do.
Yeah.
And so the more we asked questions, the more we uncovered. And the pushback that we have gotten on the police audit, and that's a story in and of itself, which is what catapulted me into this race. That was
I'd love
enough.
for you to talk about that too.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the pushback on that makes you say, what on earth are they hiding?
Yeah.
What have they done? What
Mhm.
else is there behind that curtain? And we're going to find out. And, we're going to find out. And, it's kind of crazy because the feds are watching. So, I mean, I don't know what they think they're going to get away with, but, we're not tolerating this. We're not tolerating this. We want truth and we want transparency and we want everybody to be law abiding, not just the ones that pay the taxes. We want everybody to be law abiding because we live by the laws. And it shouldn't be, if you grew up in this town and you have connections in this town and that you can do what you want, including killing people,
Right.
and everybody else lives by the laws. It doesn't work that way. We all need to live by the laws.
Yeah. Absolutely. Before we get into the next question I have for you, I
Yeah.
just want to show your current website here, your donation site. If you want to donate to Rita, have her link pinned to the top of the chat there. And if you just go down here, you can choose the amount that you'd like to donate and go ahead and do that. So Rita Lombardi's for Select Board of Canton, Mass. When is the actual election, Rita? I'm sorry, April.
So it's a week from tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah. So the website is Rita Lombardi for Canton MA.com.
Yep,
And
I'll
then
drop
that is where you'll find the link to the donation. And like I said earlier, everyone who's donated, no matter how you have in spirit or whatever, I greatly appreciate it. I see the comments, I see the donations. I am overwhelmed with appreciation for what everyone has done. And what we did, if I can just share what we've done so far, with the money that we raised almost $10,000.
Wow.
Yeah. And I'm so grateful to everybody. And we bought pens. We bought tons of these pens, which people love. And they say, vote for Rita for select board. We bought the signs that are behind me, 200 signs on people's lawns.
You had the mobile sign too, right? For a little.
Yes. So yesterday we had, some people mail flyers and I just, we ran out of time and I wasn't sure how effective that would be. And, I am the type of person that likes to make new rules. And so I wanted to reinvent campaigning and make it a celebration for your rights. And so, in addition to these signs that people have in their yards and people stand out and hold, we also rented the Karen Reed truck,
Nice.
the standout truck. And it has 3 sides, which people are familiar with. It's a moving billboard. And
Yeah.
so it drove through Canton Sunday for 8 hours with the billboard for me,
Wow.
Kathleen Howley, and Jennifer O'Donnell, 3, names that are well known. And it drove through town and it was epic. And it's coming through
Were
again.
people peeping? Were people peeping and waving? And
Oh
stuff?
my
Yeah.
God. So the truck, every time the truck went by, the truck beeped. Every time the truck saw people, the truck beeped. And it just, to see it in motion, it's unbelievable. I mean, it's an incredible idea to have a moving billboard like that. And the driver, Justin, was fabulous. And he took some pictures and whatnot. And we're going to have them again. And we're looking to get them a 3rd day if we can raise enough money. So if
Sure.
anyone who's able to donate, if you can donate, that would be fabulous. It's a celebration in the streets. And we're celebrating the people that we hope you vote for, which is me and everyone else, all
yeah.
the newcomers on the ballot. It's time to make a change. And so it's just that the truck is unbelievable. So we want to do it more. And we're looking to raise a little bit more money for that so that we can do that.
How has this changed you, Rita? Like, I mean, getting involved in politics and your local politics, how has this really
Oh,
changed
this
you?
is
It must
huge.
change. It must have changed you.
Oh, yeah, I never in a million years. First, let me say, I'm 63. I'll be 64 in June. And, I don't feel 63.
That's
And,
good.
yeah, I just have tremendous energy. And never in a million years would I ever have thought that I would be running for politics. I'm a businesswoman. I
Yeah.
spent 30 years in the business world. I had a very successful career. And I ended up being a change agent. It's not like I went into it as a change agent.
hmm
I built customer service teams from the ground up or turned around poorly performing service teams consecutively. And once I turned around one business area, they gave me another. And they kept giving them to me, and I kept taking them on. And I would go into business areas that I knew nothing about and turn it around in record time with record results. And so I built a career listening to my customers and, doing what I needed to do as a responsible leader, collaborating with people, working cross-functional. And the last 10 years of my career, I worked with every U.S. state and territory in this country
Wow.
on regulatory compliance. I was responsible for regulatory compliance for
Wow.
my company. So I'm well versed in
Mhm.
reading state regs, interpreting them, and I'm well versed in doing that. And I've been working with attorneys for probably 20 years. So I'm well aware. So stepping into this government role is nothing new for me. And, it's nothing new. And I always knew people had been asking me for months to run. And I kept saying, I can't. Family work-life balance issues. I can't do it. And so how has it changed my life? In so many ways. And so how it started was listening to the case facts, not some conspiracy theories. These, I'm listening to the case filings, and shocked at what I'm hearing. And, then became involved. And the more I heard, the more I said, I can't sit on the sidelines. This is too important for our country. This is too important for our freedom.
Yeah.
This is too important for our future and the future of our children. And I I have what it takes to stand up and fight and use my voice. And that's one thing we've all done. People want to portray us as an angry mob, and we're not an angry mob. And
Right.
people supporting me are, you know what I mean? They're not an angry mob. People want to, the other side wants to paint that picture, but they can't, because we are fun loving people that are happy, that smile, and that, cheer for joy, and are happy to be celebrating our rights and happy to be advocating for truth. It has changed my life in so many ways. I mean, I feel like sometimes I'm working 3 jobs and it's tough to balance everything, but I have the stamina because of my history, because of the jobs that I have done. And so I feel that everything in my life brought me to this point, readied me for this. Everything I did in my career up until this point was training, and for this moment in time. And the last 6 years I do work still, and but I don't work in leadership anymore. I work for the most amazing company in the world. I love it. And you know, everything in my life brought me to this point. And I just, my life has changed in ways I never imagined. I thought that I was working, my job, and I would continue to work full time till I was 70, and maybe cut, down on part time at that point. And, being like, I consider myself, I'll tell people I'm in semi-retirement. Of course, this last year, this is not semi-retirement. I'm working my tail off, but it's changed my life, and I have met the most beautiful people. Everyone I've met is a fun, loving, honest, law-abiding citizen that only wants what's right for this country. And I call these people my family. These are my so many people. Everyone in this movement is family, and everybody feels that same way. And it's so American. It's so American. You don't have to be from Canton. You don't have to be from you. All you have to do is have the spirit, and you're with us. And you're with us.
I agree. Rita, let me ask you, is this something that's new to you about, fighting for the Constitution and rights, or has this always been something that's kind of been inside you and it has just come out more, knowing what's going on in John and Karen's case? Is this something that you've always fought for, or is this kind of a new shift in your life at this period of time?
Completely new shift in my life. So, I've always paid attention to crime, as much as I can, especially the intriguing murders and, whatever. I've always paid attention to crime, but I'd never saw myself as an advocate. I've never been an advocate, never, and never saw myself as an advocate. I just figured, and plus, I was working full time. My life, I worked 14 years nights. I've worked full time since I was 18. And I went to school 14 years nights to earn my degree. That's a long journey.
Yeah.
And so I didn't really have time for much because I was working, going to school, studying. And then I got married and had my children. So then I was raising my children. And then I got divorced, and then I raised my children by myself. And then I actually went back to school knowing I was going to get laid off because my company was moving the area to Kentucky. And I got a master's certificate in project management from Boston University.
Awesome.
So I've always been a hard worker. And for me, I always voted. I did my best to be aware of the issues, and I voted who I thought was the best candidate. I'm an independent. I vote for who I believe is the best candidate. And so, and that was it. And so government just worked as far as I was concerned. And that was okay with me because it wasn't something I was interested in. Although we have seen these last 8 years, our country has taken a turn for the worse. And, we have people on gaslighting, and then we have the truth. And people are okay with gaslighting, and gaslighting is not okay. And so I really started to get more in tune to how government worked in the last 8 years because it was so insane. And so I paid attention and I learned. And so when this came out, I had a good feeling. I mean, I had a better understanding of government. And I got to give kudos because everyone on this team, everyone plays an important role. And Kathleen Howley is brilliant. She's brilliant. And she and I have been like, partners since this whole thing. I mean, we just connected, and we were one of the original 4 to get the threatening letters, and 2 stopped talking when they got the threatening letters. And Kathleen and I said, hell no, we're going to keep moving forward. And we did. And so Kathleen knows history. She knows all this stuff. I don't know all this stuff. I did my best to learn it in school.
Right.
And Kathleen, she's a journalist, brilliant journalist. And, so between what I learned and everyone comes together and everybody has different expertise. And it seems like everywhere along this journey, I believe in God. I believe that, we're on a journey in life, and, we're on a journey, and, every point in this campaign, when we have needed certain expertise, somebody came forward.
Yeah, that's great.
And the expertise were right there, and volunteering. And it was like, here you go, Rita. Here you go, Kathleen. Here you go. This is what you need. And it's been unbelievable. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful to everyone. I'm so grateful to God. I'm so grateful for this opportunity to help the town that I love so much, that I've lived here for 45 years. And my dad was born and raised here. And my ancestry goes back 118 years. And my great grandmother came over with her sister. Her sister was here first. My great grandmother came over, and between her and her sister, they had 20 children. I'm related to so many people in this town. I don't even know who they are, but the blood runs deep. And I'm not the only one. There's a lot of, that's what's going on with this case. And that's why it impacts people in so many ways. There's a whole nother story that people just don't know, and they may never know the impact this case has had on people.
I was going to ask you, and well, just make a comment to what you were saying, and then I have a question to ask you because it's something interesting that you said. But I feel that in Canton, it's very divided there. You're either on very pro Karen Reed side, or you really want Karen Reed to go to jail for the rest of her life. And I get a good sense of that because I know I'm getting to know a lot of the Canton residents in and around Canton. But I have to ask you a question because I think this is the first time maybe I've heard about this, and maybe I'm just late to the session here. But you talked about some threatening letters. What was that? Could you talk about that?
That happened in October. That happened in October. So I started going to the select board meetings in July. And we're trying to get questions. We're trying to get the board of select to get the chief together, and they weren't having it. The chief wasn't having it. And they said they couldn't talk, and they wouldn't, we could ask them what color the sky was, and they wouldn't answer us. And so it was pretty frustrating. And residents were trying to get a meeting with the chief and with the board to discuss, because we knew that we were a town in crisis. We asked for crisis intervention. We asked them to bring in, an external firm to help us through this, because you need those kind of expertise with the trauma that has been inflicted on this town. And they wouldn't do it. And so they left us no choice but to call a special town meeting. And Kathleen knew this, and Kathleen spearheaded the special town meeting. I knew nothing about it. I'm like, Kathleen, this is out of my wheelhouse. And but she knew, she had those expertise. And so she said, let's do a special town meeting and we'll get them to talk to us. And so I said, okay. So We rallied. As a matter of fact, there's a video. I should have sent it to you. Dana and Tracy have it, and I do have it as well, but Tracy took it. And so we were rallying the town. We had 45 days to get a special town meeting together. We got petitioned. We petitioned, I think we had like 300 people sign a petition for a special town meeting. They had no idea we were doing this. We did it through social media, and we had people meet us, and we got the special town meeting. And there's other things that happened, but I'm not gonna, they did everything to try to kill the special town meeting, but they couldn't do it.
And I'm sorry, who was they? The current select board?
The powers to be.
Got
The
it.
powers to be. They tried to say that, some signatures were forged, and, when we went to people's houses, we were disingenuous about we didn't go to people's houses. They came to us at Starbucks.
Right.
So they thought that we were doing campaigning and petitioning the old school way, and we created a whole new way to do it. And so anyways, normally our town meeting is in May, and there's normally maybe 250 on average that show. That's it. We got 2,000 people to show up for the special town meeting. And about 100 of them came from out of town to hold signs for us in support of us. That's the power of this movement.
Wow.
And people held signs for us outside where the auditorium in the high school is 800. We had 2,000.
Yeah,
so they had to overflow into the cafeteria and the gym. Well, it wasn't a regular town meeting. It was very hostile because the opposition wanted to intimidate people so they wouldn't vote for the special police audit.
Right.
And we had asked, so the threatening letters, right? The threatening letters came before the special town meeting. And so the threatening letters, so when we were speaking out at the special town meeting, people didn't like that. They wanted us to shut up. And the way these people have operated throughout their time here in this town is through intimidation, scare tactics. That's why people haven't talked, is because they're afraid of these people. And, word is that they're mafia level. And, so they didn't, so they wanted to shut us up. So they wrote a letter to us. Multiple people wrote it. It's multiple authors. The grammar was horrible. And they were trying to scare us, and they threatened to smear our families and to spread lies about us and to do anything to us to get us to shut up. And then one person, then in one sentence, it was like, people have reached out with campaign help. Well, at the time we were talking about recalling Chris Albert. So who could that be? Geez, who was in an elected position whose position was in jeopardy of being overturned? Well, that would be Chris Albert. And so
I want to talk about him too when you
yeah. So we got this threatening letter, and it was really vitriol, and it shook people up. And we did not publish it. We only published certain portions of it.
Yeah.
And we did not publish the letter because it was so bad. And I put a security system on my house after I received it. And so did Kathleen. And I'm sure the others did. Oh, yeah, it was really bad. It was really bad. And then we reported it to the police department, and they didn't care. They didn't care. They didn't care because of, and I said, so when I brought it to the police department, I brought the letter in.
Oh, God.
And I go, I'm pretty sure Chris Albert is one of the authors. I go, because the person's looking for campaign, the person says people are reaching out with campaign help and money and legal advice. And he's the only one that has a job that is potentially being recalled. So the Canton police didn't do anything. I mean, it was really bad. So we had to protect ourselves. So safety is an issue in this town.
Yeah.
And so anyways, from that, we launched into the special town meeting. And it was under very contentious circumstances. We were heckled, and people, we asked for an alternative way of voting so that people could vote in private and feel safe with what they wanted to vote. But the opponents voted that down. So we asked, the moderator, the moderator of the town meeting and the town clerk came together, come up with an alternative process where people were given coupons and they could put their coupons in the box when it came time. And the other side said no, because they wanted people to have to raise their hand to vote so that they could see who was voting for the police audit, and so that they could intimidate them into voting against it. And it was so bad.
Wow.
And at the end of the day, 903 people voted in favor of the audit and 800 people voted it down. But it didn't end there. So when the vote was cast, we had to hold up these orange flags and so people could see who's voting for the audit. And as soon as the vote passed, John Conley jumped to his feet like he was a jack in the box.
Yeah.
And then the others, all the select board opposed the audit and raised their hand in opposition. And the finance committee all supported the audit. They supported the audit going into the meeting, and they supported the audit when it was time to vote. The entire select board voted it down. So they made the moderator do a recount, and the recount had to be done 3 times.
Yeah, it was embarrassing.
3 times people were forced to raise their hand and stand behind their vote. And then, what we have now is, Bob McCarthy, which is what got me into the race. So Randy Scollins is the finance director. He came to us from Foxborough. His name is William Randall Scollins. He came to us from Foxborough because they parted ways because upwards of 6 women made allegations against inappropriate conduct. I'm sure you guys can Me Too figure it out. And there were lawyers involved. And the town parted ways with him. And Canton said, geez, let's pick up another liability. We'll hire Randy. And, we don't have enough lawsuits on our hands. Let's add Randy to the list. And Randy, Dandy Randy, he's hired by the select board. So his job is to make sure this audit doesn't go through. So he appoints Bob McCarthy, the most vocal opponent of the audit, at the special town meeting to spearhead the committee. And it's been sabotaged ever since. So they're trying to derail it, and we're not having it. We're not having it. So we ain't got no quit. And they're about to see that, if they haven't figured that out already.
So there's rumors swirling that Chris Albert wants off the select board, and they're actually, from what I heard, is that they don't want him to go because it opens up another seat. Have you heard anything about that? And if you have,
Yes.
what do you think about it?
Well, I don't, look, it's always been suspicious to me why a man who does it, and I have a hard time calling him a man, but he's grown and whatever. He has a history of not paying his taxes on time. He has a history of being summoned to court for not paying his bills to his vendors who provide the heat and whatnot to his pizza shop there. And he's not a good citizen. I mean, he's just not a good citizen. And it always concern, so as I go into these meetings, I'm hearing more and more about him and the issues with him, and he's on the select board. It makes no sense. The guy doesn't pay his taxes. And, so if you don't follow the law and if you're not a good citizen, how's the rest of the town supposed to be a good citizen? If you're saying, hey, it's okay not to pay your bills, and it's okay not to show up when they summons you to court. And the fact of the matter is, when somebody does that, somebody can say, oh, that's his business. No, it's not. That's our business. Because from an operational standpoint, when someone doesn't pay their bills, then mailings go out, lawyers get involved, people get involved, and that costs money. And guess who pays for all of that operational expense? That's right, the taxpayers. So even when Chris finally pays his bills, we have incurred significant costs in trying to collect them. And that's not right. And so, yes, I have heard that he is, and the rest of the select board, Angela's correct, the rest of the select board is allowing this to happen.
Let it happen.
And Kathleen, even at the end of the year, they slid in a meeting. They didn't tell us, and they slid in a meeting to approve licenses at the end of the year for Chris Albert's business. And Chris Albert hadn't paid his taxes, and he signed under pains of perjury that he did. And we had the public record that said he didn't. And then about 5 weeks later, it showed that he paid his taxes. But then somebody said a couple of weeks later, it showed that he didn't. So if, if he did, if he did pay his taxes, and the story goes that he wrote somebody a check once, and his wife said, "Hey, the check bounced," and she laughed, saying, Chris's checks always bounce. So, that's not somebody you want on the select board. So word has it that he wants off, and he doesn't contribute. All he does is drink his cup of coffee. And John Conley has asked him to stay. Of course, if he leaves, then that guarantees either
Open
Trish
seat.
or I will get in. But but it doesn't guarantee. I mean, so I think what the strategy is to keep him, to see who wins the election next week,
And
then
he'll
to
just
let
bounce
him
out.
resign
Yep.
to see if they can replace that seat with one of their own.
Yep.
And but once this election is done, Chris might be looking at a recall. So we just wanted to put our energy into the campaign. So if Chris doesn't want to face a recall, and he's living in Stoughton, which people have confirmed that he's living in Stoughton because he doesn't go home anymore, then that's a problem. So, who knows? Who knows?
Rita, let me just say this, and I'm not saying that you're not going to win, because I have confidence that you are going to win. I think people truly want change in Canton. I believe that. But let's just say that you didn't. Will you continue to rally for Canton? Will you continue to be part of these select boards? I'm not
going away. I'm not going away. Even with the police audit, I'm not going away. Kathleen, it started, Kathleen and I, the petitioners said to Kathleen and I, they wanted us to represent them. And they knew that we were the ones who were driving this. And Bob McCarthy rejected the nomination. He said, "You nominated yourself." He has no idea, but he never asked. Bob McCarthy, in my opinion, is a little Putin. And, he's a dictator. And so, and I said, so then when I decided to run for select board, I said, I decided to run for select board, but I'm going to be in the audience for the independent police audit to make sure that that happens as the petitioners want it. The petitioners want a national firm to come in and audit the police policies and procedures against compliance. Companies do this every year.
Yeah. Yep.
They do it without issue. Nobody likes to be audited, but it's part of business. And when you do the audit, you see where you're doing things right, and you celebrate, and you see where you got some issues, and you tighten up the checks and balances and controls. And then you move forward, and then you have the best product that you can have. And if, so the resistance to the audit is shocking. Absolutely shocking. And I understand that from the police that I've spoken to, that, whatever audits they have done for their evidence room, they did like somebody from the next town over would do their evidence room audit. And then we'd go over and do their, what kind of an audit is that? That's not an unbiased audit. That's not how you do audits. And I believe, I've got 30 years of the business world, best practices. And, I believe what we need in Canton and what we need in government all across this country is a balance. I'm not saying no politics. We need a balance of professional business leaders and the politicians so that we can incorporate the best practices in the private sector into the public sector, because I'm not seeing that we have too many, even with this murder case, too many checks and balances. Where's the checks and balances? None of these procedures in the corporate world, in the private sector, there would have been stopgaps to catch this from happening. And the fact that people were able to go rogue on so many processes and procedures tells me that we don't have the proper checks and balances.
Rita, specifically with Karen's case, I think obviously you have the heartbeat in Canton. I don't live in Canton, but I'm just curious. Do you think that this has opened up a lot of eyes to the politics in Canton? Maybe people that weren't involved in it or paying attention before,
Oh,
and
yeah.
and maybe are they just afraid to speak out and say anything? But you must hear the buzz there. I'm pretty sure. Tell me
So
about the locals.
I can tell you, mainstream media did a great job at keeping this whole thing under wraps. And they, that's not meaning, I don't mean that, I applaud mainstream media. I have no respect for mainstream media anymore. Now I understand why people
Media's the
go,
future.
yep, independent media is that of the future.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
understand it now more than ever with this case, more than ever. Mainstream media was just a puppet of the Mass State Police and the District Attorney's Office. And so I didn't realize that. And, I believed if I saw it on the news, I believed it. If I read it in the paper, I believed it. I thought that this was truth. I find out otherwise. And so I think that the more people stood out, the more people went to the courts, the more people made noise for truth and justice,
Yeah.
the more that awareness was raised. And then people, Canton, it's hard for people to understand. Every family, everyone in this town is impacted, everyone. And in ways that people will never say, because it's your family. It's your families are divided on this. And for so many reasons, families are divided and they're fighting over it. And it's painful. It's very painful. And you have those who are advocating for truth and are standing behind the truth. And the truth is finally coming out. We finally heard that the federal government, not the prosecution, because God knows they withheld evidence and they didn't even collect evidence. They say there's no dog DNA on John's body. Well, of course there's no dog DNA on John's body because you didn't take any swabs. So how are you going to find DNA in swabs you never took? But we finally found out that we knew, but the federal government has been doing an investigation of John O'Keefe's murder.
And it's still ongoing, by the way. For anybody that's watching, it's still ongoing.
It's still ongoing. And the federal government said in good conscience that they cannot let Karen Reed go to trial because they know that she's innocent. And so information was released a couple of weeks ago that the federal government, their crime scene reconstructionists have determined that Karen's car did not hit or did not kill John O'Keefe, and John O'Keefe's injuries did not come from a car. Because cars don't have canine teeth. And so I don't even know why we're going to court tomorrow, because the hair that was supposed to be on the bumper that they put in the charging documents wasn't a hair. And the weapon of murder has been ruled out. So what on earth, why on earth are we still going to court for this?
The thing that always gets me on that, Rita, is you have, all right, so Karen, going back to the case, Karen's car gets picked up by the Mass State Police. It's not towed back to their crime lab. It goes back to Canton, 33 miles from where her parents lived. And then the murder weapon that supposedly killed John O'Keefe, it takes them 3 days to process a murder weapon that killed a Boston police officer, supposedly killed a Boston police officer. Why would you take 3 days to that? Just doesn't make any sense to me.
Right.
I mean, that to me, a murder of a police officer, especially a Boston police officer, that would take priority over everything. I think I would have every crime person there documenting this, taking photos, video, whatever we need to do. And we're going to wait 3 days. I mean, it just makes no sense because we know what they needed to do within those 3 days. That was the frame job.
Right. So first of all, it's a Boston police officer.
Yeah.
When have you ever in this country seen a police officer assassinated
Mm.
And the swarms the other police don't come swarming in to get that killer. I mean, look at what we did with the Boston Marathon.
Mhm.
You know, we should have had that same kind of response. A
Mhm.
Boston police officer is killed,
Mhm.
and you know, and the crime scene should have been impeccable, and it wasn't. And
Yeah.
you know, and on the select board, it just came out last week that Tom Theodore's son, who is also we have a conflicted select board,
Mm.
and there's 5 people on the select board. 3 of them have immediate family members that were either that are witnesses or involved in this murder. We
Mhm.
have Mike Lofgren, whose brother Lucky is a hero in this case, and Lucky is the plow driver. And he said at 2:30 there was no body, and he said at 3:30 there was a Ford Edge there. And so if there's nobody at 2:30 and the car didn't do it, I'm really not sure how the Commonwealth's going to argue this case, but whatever. But anyways, so you know, Mike Lofgren is involved. Tom Theodore's son was working on the day of the 29th, and it came out last week that Tom Theodore's son received a call from the police chief, Berkowitz, who was on
Mm.
medical leave, to close the bay doors. The Karen's Reed was inside the police station, and Tom Theodore's son got a call to close the bay doors. That means Tom Theodore's son saw Karen's car.
Yep.
So there's another conflicted select board member. And then you have Chris Albert, who, by the way, now we know was at the house when John was murdered, and as was his son, Colin.
Mhm.
And so he's not only there,
And at Brian Albert's house, never mind that.
and it's his
So, I mean,
brother's
yeah,
house.
his
And
brother's
it's his
house.
brother's house. And Chris Albert also has a brother who is Kevin Albert, who's a detective on the Canton police force.
Mhm.
And we just found out last week that 2 days before Brian Higgins was 2 days before Brian Higgins, right, 2 days before Brian Higgins was testified before the grand jury last June, Kevin Albert is, I guess it's witness intimidation until they do it. He calls Brian Higgins
Yeah.
and about, you know, 2 days before Brian's going to testify. So,
Mhm.
you know, we have a select board that really needs to go. And
Mhm.
so people need, please vote, tell everybody, vote for me, vote for Trish Boyden. Trish Boyden is a businesswoman as well. And we need businesswomen in there. And she is a fighter like I am. And she will stand up for truth and do what is right for this town and bring us back. We need healing. We need to restore trust. The audit is going to help us restore trust.
Mm. Yeah, so if you want to vote, help Rita out, I just dropped her link in the chat there. Please vote for Rita Lombardi. She truly can be one of the people that can change Canton politics, and it's been very messy for a long time. You can just scroll down at the end of the page there and donate. Rita would truly appreciate that. So Rita, let me ask you really quick, as you see it now, and I know I'm not going to get too much into the politics of Canton, but maybe you can answer a couple questions. Let me ask you, what do you think are the 3 most pressing issues in Canton right now, if I was to ask you that?
Healing. First of all, we need to restore trust. And
Mhm.
the police audit is going to help us do that. New leadership is going to help us do this. Nobody trusts the select board anymore. Nobody trusts the chief of police anymore. They don't. You know, we've had in the last month or so, we've had a child threatened to shoot up the school,
Mhm.
and our police didn't do anything. They buried it. And, you know, shortly after, Norwood did it, and Norwood followed protocol. And then we just had another incident, a copycat, because, you know, when nobody takes action, there's no consequences. Somebody else will do it. So something happened, I think, last week, and the community got a different response, finally, a different response.
Mm.
Because the feds are watching, you know. So, you know, we have to restore trust in this community. It's broken. People tell me they've had enough.
Mhm.
They've had enough, and they want truth and enough of the gaslighting. So we need to restore trust and healing. We need to heal. This community has been has suffered enormously.
Yeah, really beat up for the last 2 years.
Yeah,
I mean,
we families, friends, we need professional intervention here, which is what we asked for last year. We need professional intervention to help this community come back together. And, you know, that is both, and then community rebuilding. It's all together. And unless we can restore trust and help each other heal and rebuild community and make things fun again, you know, everything else doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter because we have to heal us first.
Mhm. Yeah. No, I completely agree. I really, really, really completely agree. Do you have any upcoming standouts or any events coming on in the next week, you know, rallying up for the big vote?
Yeah. So people still want to stand out. So they can email volunteer@randomcitizen.org, or also DM. If you're on Facebook, you can DM Dana Leonard as well. He does the weekend ones. Easter's coming up this weekend. So it's probably best to do volunteer at randomcitizen.org. Things will be posted on Facebook too. People don't, you don't have to have a group. We also have just come and take the signs and go stand out. And so we're coordinating that for this week. And we're also coordinating, we're looking for people to help us on April 2nd. We want to get that truck back out. And, you know, so if people want to volunteer, we'd love to have you. Thursday, I'm off and I will be hitting the streets with the standouts. So, and we will be at the town hall. So you'll get more on that. You know, people don't have to come for the whole time. Just come just come to say hello, come to get a pen. The love that you will receive. There's nothing like it. There's nothing like it. It is awesome. It really is. And so, you know, if people can donate, great. People want to come and hold signs. People want to reach out to anyone and everyone they know in Canton to tell them to please vote. All of that will help us, all of it. And, you know, keep the spirit, you know, stamp out gaslighting. Truth matters and truth is powerful and truth will always, always defeat gaslighting.
Yeah, I completely agree. You want to take a couple of questions from the
Sure.
audience?
Absolutely.
If anybody wants to ask a reader a question, we'll pull them up. I'll try to get the best ones out there. Just put a Q and then ask your question. We want to try to keep it to kind of Canton specific, but if you have a Karen Reed, maybe something that you want Rita's opinion on, we'll take those as well too. Let me just recognize a couple of things here, Rita. So I want to just thank Lady Law for gifting the 1 membership. I'm going to go back to Dennis. Dennis said, we ain't got no quit. The silent vote is still waiting. Go Rita. Thanks for the $5. And Casey became a new member. I appreciate that. You know, I encourage people. We do know there's mail-in ballots, but I really do encourage people, and think Rita does as well. If you can get there to vote in person, that's probably the best possible way. We know, and I'm not saying that there is any type of corruption, but you never know. In elections, there's a lot of type of funny things that go on. And I just specifically, like myself, if I go vote for something, I want to be there in person on the day. And I just encourage people as well to do that.
Brian, if I can just chime on, I'm happy you said that. My preference is to vote in person. So you can vote in person now. As a matter of fact, you can vote any day this week, 8 to 5. Tomorrow you can vote 8 to 7. And then Wednesday and Thursday it's 8 to 5. And Friday it's 8 to 1. Or on election day, please vote in person.
Yeah.
You can vote by mail. However, I am going to say that the Canton Post Office has let me down, and I don't trust the Canton Post Office right now. And they need to restore trust. And that's because when the special warrant went out for the special town meeting, which was hotly contested, a lot of people never got the special warrant. And when people went and spoke to the postmaster said that somebody from the town hall brought in the bin, and I have print mail experience. So I have print mail experience in my background. So I know what goes on in print mail facilities and in the post office. And so they said that they blamed it on the town hall. And so the employee came over and put it behind the Tuesday mailing. And the employees didn't realize they had to deliver it. Really? And so what happened was people received the warrant. Some people received it, and then people started complaining on Facebook that they didn't get it. And then some more trickled out. But there was still a lot of people, myself included, that never got the warrant. So because of that reason, because there's a problem with following procedure, I recommend that people, I would hate to have votes be sitting in there and not get to the town clerk's office in time because somebody didn't realize they had to deliver them. So I prefer that people go in person, and it's your right to have a private vote. Just vote. And also, I just want to say the other side is also putting in write-in candidates. They cheat. They cheat. And so, when they don't like we have two people running unopposed. Lisa Lopez is running for housing, and she's running unopposed. And someone else by the name of Sean Robinson is running, and I forget the position he's running for. And so they went through the proper process to pull papers and get signatures. And the other side didn't like it. So now they're doing a blast to have people write in candidates. Please don't write in candidates. And if a box is uncontested, please check off that box for that candidate, Lisa Lopez and Sean Robinson. Please check off that box.
Yeah. And then the way you have to look at it, and look, the Canton Select Board does not want Rita on that select board. So that's why I say, and I'm just going to say, go vote in person. Make sure your vote gets there. You see your vote actually being tallied, however it is, dropped in the box. You know that it's secure and it's there. Mail-in shit, I'm going to tell you right now, just like Rita said, oh, I didn't know that it was supposed to be delivered. That shit happens in elections. Believe me. Look what you just went through in our last presidential election, in my opinion. A lot of votes there that shouldn't have been there.
Right. And it should be, it shouldn't be that way, but it is. It shouldn't be that way, but it is. And I'm not speaking for every post office. I'm just speaking for the Canton post office because they clearly failed on delivering a highly contentious special warrant mailing. And I did a public records request, although I'm not going to be able to look at the response until after the election. But I'm not done investigating that. So I want to know what happened because the PO box. So if anybody wants to make a donation and they don't want to go online, my PO box is elect Rita Lombardi at PO Box 134, Norwood, Massachusetts 02062. I wouldn't even open up a PO box in Canton. And they need to restore my trust, and that's a problem. Right now, I have no trust.
Huge problem.
Huge
so
problem.
5 Cent Lucy says, a question for Rita. What would be your number one priority as you'll be an advocate for the Canton people when you get elected?
It's healing. It's trust and healing and community. It all goes together. Nothing else matters. If we don't take care of the body, if we don't take care of the people, nothing else matters. And it's difficult for people to understand. I get it. If you're impacted by something and you haven't experienced it, you really just don't know. I'm telling you, the trauma that's been inflicted on this community by this murder is enormous. And it's going to take a long time to heal.
I dip in and around Canton a little bit. I try not to go in too much because I'm sure they don't like me there. But I mean, from just talking to the locals, I mean, this Karen Reed's case gets talked about daily there by multitudes of people. It's not just the small, the circle of people that we have here in the Free Karen Reed movement. I mean, people are talking about this constantly. And it's a big thing in Canton. Let's see. 5 Cent Lucy says, I love it, Rita. Your passion and commitment is palpable. Thank you so much. Yeah, if anybody has a question for Rita, drop them in there and we'll pull them up. So so again, the vote date is what? It was April 2nd, you said, or 3rd?
April 2nd, Tuesday, April 2nd.
Okay.
And I just want to say something about the post office too.
Sure.
And it's just the Canton post office, right? And I got to be honest, when I go in there, I don't get the service. I just don't get good service. But it's not every post office. And I'm not, just like every place that you work, right? You got good people and you got not so good people. I have a family of postal workers. My dad was a postal worker. My brother was a postmaster. My sister works for the post office. My niece works for the post office. I'm not anti-post office, but the Canton post office let me down. And they let the town of Canton down. And you can't blame a town employee for walking into a federal building when it's your responsibility to secure that building and not let somebody from the outside in. So if the Canton postmaster's employees allowed a town employee into the federal building to put down a bin of warrants, that's a violation of policy. And so it's on the Canton post office. It's not on the town employee who they're blaming.
You know what, Rita? You know what you have every right to go do as a citizen. You can actually go in and audit the post office. There's a process of doing it. I see people do it on online all the time. You have every right to go in and do a open audit, and they have to be nice to you and they have to follow their policies. And if they don't, they can get in a lot of trouble. I see this stuff on YouTube all the time. And that might be something that you want to look into. Yeah. And I would love to go. Hey, if you need a camera person, I'd love to go with you.
Maybe we'll do that. Maybe we'll do that right after the election. And I just want to give a shout out. You know, I go to the Dedham post office. They are so professional. I go to the Norwood post office. They are so professional. And when I go to our post office, it's just not happening. And my experience has been customer service. That's what I've done my entire career. And so, you know, and to be failed by this warrant is disappointing.
So let's see. You have a question that just came up, and Jen's asking, Rita, will you clean house when you get on the board?
So that's not my style. My style is to work collaboratively with people, you know, and to try to help people. And some people leave on their own. So, you know, that's not, you know, I want to work with people and, you know, try to make things work. I can tell you that in my career, when I have gone into areas, and a lot of the areas I went into were in very bad shape, and people like the Chris Alberts who are incompetent usually bail before I step in the door. So, you know, I have high expectations and I'm going to deliver results, but I'm going to work with people to deliver results. And, you know, I think J.R. McCourt is fabulous. You know, he always tries, he's on the select board. He always tries to work solutions. I love Charlie Doody. Charlie Doody, any communication I've had with him has been professional, has been positive, you know, and, you know, so I don't, you know, even, I mean, I can work with anybody, but I will expect, you know, I will expect people to perform, you know, ethically.
Yeah, I completely agree. Have you heard anything about Colin Albert? I guess he's supposedly off the grid, and there's a lot of people in the chat that are asking that. I don't know if you've heard anything about him or.
No, he's insignificant in my life. Yeah. I mean, you know, you know, all of them are really insignificant in my life. I just want Karen Reed freed. You know, that woman has lost 2 years of her life, and she will never get it back. She lost the love of her life. And, you know, this town is going to get sued. This town has enormous lawsuits. And the purpose of the independent audit is to find out where our process is broken, to fix it, to protect us from future lawsuits. We can't do anything about what has been done already, but we can protect ourselves for the future. And that's the purpose of the independent audit.
Yeah. When is that supposed to happen?
Oh, God, no. Bob is like playing all kinds of games. This guy, Bob McCarthy, you know, he is a dictator and he's playing all kinds of games. So he recently sent out a mailing to people. It's just, he's playing games. And, you know, I don't know when they originally said, he said that he wasn't going to do it until after the Karen Reed trial, and they're trying to delay it. And his intent is to put like-minded people on the board, on the committee with him, so that they can narrow the scope and find nothing wrong. Well, that's a waste of money, because that's not the purpose of an independent audit. The purpose of the independent audit is to kind of like, you know, go to confession. What's wrong? Let's fix it. you know, not to bury it and pretend that it's not there. And so that's what he's trying to do. They don't want the audit. And the question is, why?
Yeah,
Why?
I mean, you
What
get an
else
audit,
is
you get an audit to look in and see if there's any issues, and if there's issues, then you look at your opportunities to fix those issues,
right?
and to make sure that everything is up to reg. Like, make sure that it's running operationally sound, and what the policies and regs are in those types of situations,
Right.
or company or business, whatever it may be.
Right.
Yeah. Yep.
If and clearly with everything that
Not.
we've seen, we don't have the proper checks and balances, because if
No.
we did, these things wouldn't have been able to happen. In the business world, you wouldn't have been able to have these kind of
Yeah.
breaks.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have been.
Mm-mm.
You just wouldn't. We have the checks and balances. So why don't we have it on our law enforcement? Why don't we have these checks and balances in our government?
Yeah,
And we need them.
and the thing is that I know there's probably a lot of just Bostonians watching this, or people from Canton right now, and like, this is not only happening just in Canton, Mass. This is happening
Right.
all over the country. And that's why I always say, when I get on here and people go, "Oh, I can't wait for the presidential vote. We can vote this one out." Like, I'm gonna be honest with you, a lot of stuff doesn't really matter. Politics is politics. Worldwide politics, always worldwide politics. And it looks like now every 4 years we're going to have someone in there different. It's just the swing of things are. We don't really see 8-year presidents anymore. The most important thing for people to pay attention to is the communities that you live in. Who are the people that are running your community? Are they people that have been, for crow's sakes, look at what I've been doing with Brockton, and just looking at their school committee. It's a freaking mess over there. And they've lost almost $24 million in their budget. They have no idea where that money is. Teachers are getting assaulted every day. There's students that are getting beaten up every day. And these same people that have been in the position of power for years say, "Don't worry, we're going to fix everything." Really? You trust those people?
Right.
What are they going to have to wait for? Someone to go in there and shoot that school up, or stab someone, or murder someone, and then you're going to have the government step in and say, "Hey, what the fuck?" Maura Healey, our governor, won't even do anything for Brockton right now. Like, who's running shit over there? It's crazy.
Right. And you're so right, Brian. So many people have come forward and said, "I'm now paying attention to what's going on in my town." And for people that are listening, please, this is a wake-up call. Pay attention to what's going on, because look, I didn't. Government ran as far as I was concerned, and that was okay with me, because I had my life. I was raising my family, going to school, working full time, trying to enjoy my life, and somebody else was in politics, and that worked for me. But what I found out through this experience is it's not working. And we see that in the last 8 years. Gaslighting. I've never seen gaslighting like this. And and I think it's because of social media. People need to pay attention. People need to stand up. It's not just Canton. And I hope other towns are better. But I believe that this is true in many places. And this movement, I believe, is going to sweep this country. I believe people have had enough, and they want truth. And you know what the beautiful thing is? Our voice is our weapon. Our facts are our weapon.
Yep. They always
That's
say
the
the pen
weapon
is
of
mightier
choice.
than the sword, Rita.
Yes.
The pen is mightier than the sword.
Yes.
So real quick, GM's got a question. Said, if you win, will you get a badge like JC?
I don't need a badge like JC. This is a badge I have. My little badge right here. Somebody made me these pins, and I love it. And I love it. Oh, what happened to me? Somebody made these pins, and this is the only badge I need right here. Rita Lombardi. Vote for Rita Lombardi.
There you go.
I don't need a badge. I don't need anything to boost my ego. I am who I am. This is what you get. I'm authentic. And that's what people, like about me, is that, what you see is what you get. And I don't need a badge. But thank you.
Are you going to be going to the hearing tomorrow?
Yes, I'm out of sick time, but I am going to go because I don't have to work until 9:30, and I am going to rally for Karen, and so I look forward to seeing her, and I still can't believe she's going to court. This is like ridiculous.
It's crazy.
But Karen knows that we all love her. We all stand for her. We support her, and we are not going anywhere until she is free.
Mhm.
And then I can't wait for the party in the streets because justice will have prevailed. And the federal government is the one who's going to deliver the justice. And Josh Levy, the acting U.S. attorney from Massachusetts,
Yep.
he is going to be he already is highly respected. I don't know who he is. I hope someday to meet him. I put my faith in Josh Levy, and I put my faith in the feds. And on my sign says, "In the feds we trust." And in this case, I'm happy that the federal government is showing us who we are as Americans, and they are not going to let this go. And that's the great country we live in, everybody. But it's only great if we continue to defend democracy and stand for truth, no matter how hard it is. And I just want to say one more thing, because I know you said something earlier. You know, some people don't have the voice. Some people say, I don't have the confidence, you know, but people are finding their voice. There's strength in numbers. And all you have to do is go to one of these rallies, go to one of these standouts, and you will find your voice. You will be welcomed with open arms, with loving arms, and you will find a whole new family of Americans that you can be proud of. And I'm proud of.
I think like things like this for people, you know, especially for myself, and I think just with age, I've kind of grown the confidence to speak up a little bit more. But I used to be one of those people that just kind of sat back and took shit from people for a very, very long time. And I got to a certain point in my life, and I'm like, I'm not taking nothing from nobody. Like, I'm speaking my mind. I'm letting it all out now. That's why I started this platform. That's why I wanted to do this, because these are my thoughts. This is what I want to talk about, and these are the people that I want to have on my show. So I just get tired of everybody saying, no, you can't, and I'm like, yes, I can, because now it is my platform. So screw all of you. I'm doing it.
Oh my God, Brian, that is what I have been all my life. Tell me I can't, and I'll show you I can. And that's who I've been. I'm the number two. I'm number two of 5 children. And number 2 is supposed to be the rebellious child. My parents will never deny that I was the rebellious child. And I always had a mind of my own. And it was, tell me I can't, and I'm going to show you that I can.
I love it.
That's what I've done. So go, Brian. That's great.
No, go Rita. We need everybody to go out and vote for Rita. If you want to help her campaign, she's got about another week here for the build up. I'll drop the link there in the chat. You can go donate. Just scroll down to the bottom of this here, and you can donate to any amount of money there. It will definitely help Rita out. Already, she's raised $10,000 for her local campaign. That's so great.
Local campaign. People have been incredible, and we just want to get another truck. We go one day, we want to get another one. And we really want to remind people to get out and vote, because and let me just say one more thing. I know I always say one more thing, but
it's okay.
You know, I always, you know, people think their vote doesn't matter. It does. Every vote matters.
Every single vote.
And Lisa Lopez ran for select board a few years back. She was a select board, and then she ran. One year she lost by 1 vote. And I was going to vote. I was going to bullet vote for Lisa. And bullet vote is when you only vote for one person. And I was going to bullet vote because I wanted her in. And so, and I was on my way to work. I go, oh my God, I forgot to vote. And then when I got out of work, I was going to vote, but then I think I got out, it was too late, and I missed the polls. And she lost by 1 vote. And how I felt was terrible. I felt terrible because I was that 1 vote. And we want to make this a landslide. Help us make this a landslide. The landslide is going to tell them, just like that movie. Some people may not remember. It was so long ago. You know, there was a movie. The guy opens the window. I forget the name of the movie. He opens the window and he says, I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore. And that's what your vote will do. Make it a landslide. Let them know you're mad as hell. You're not going to take it anymore. We want truth. We want transparency. And we want to be able to trust our leaders again. So
Yeah, and I think the landslide helps with any funny business that may go on too. So that just kind of just trumps everything over. Make sure that those votes are in there, hot and heavy, and I think that it's gonna go really well. I don't know, Rita, do you have any parting words for your voters out there? Anything that you want to say to them, or any final words before the big vote in about a week from now?
If you're able to stand out with us, come stand out with us. Even if you come just to say hello, get a pen, come stand out with us. It is so much fun. And I thank you all for your support. Keep on supporting us. Keep on standing for truth. And please reach out to everyone you know in Canton and urge them to go to the polls and vote their truth. And vote for, and I'm going to give you the name, me, Rita Lombardi, Kathleen Howley, Trish Boyden, Lisa Lopez, Kathy Gibbs McCormick, and Jennifer O'Donnell for school committee. Vote for the challengers, and let's make this awesome. Let's show everybody how wonderful it is to live in America and be able to vote your truth and have somebody in office that you can really trust and you can go to. I will listen to you and I will help, and we will make this community a wonderful place and heal again and be proud. So I thank you all so much. Keep on keeping on. You're the wings, the wind beneath my wings. I just love it. So thank you all. And Brian, thank you so much. You're the best. And I'll see you soon.
Yeah. So vote for Rita. The vote day is April 2nd. You can vote at the time. Is it? The town hall?
They can vote tomorrow. Yeah. Don't wait till April 2nd.
Yeah. Start voting tomorrow. Yeah.
At the town hall.
Okay. Great.
Tomorrow they can vote 8 to 7, and then Wednesday and Thursday 8 to 5, and then Friday 8 to 1. So vote at the town hall, or vote April 2nd at the polls. But we'll see you there, and I need all of yous for this victory, and then we can all celebrate. You don't have to be from Canton to celebrate. We are all going to celebrate this huge victory for democracy and for America.
I agree. That's Rita Lombardi. She's running for Canton Select Board, and I truly believe she's going to win. We're going to have mega change in Canton. Go out and vote. You can start voting tomorrow at the town hall. If you can't, April 2nd between 7 a.m. and 8 p.m. Is that the time?
Tomorrow is 8 to 7.
Okay, 8 to 7. There's plenty of time. You can go out there. Please vote. Get involved. If you're in Canton, you're watching this, get involved in the election. It's very, very important for change. And Rita, it's awesome. Let's catch up after your campaign. I want to have you on here. And anytime you need a platform for anything, you just reach out to me and we'll make it happen.
Thank you so much, Brian. You're the best. And I'll see you in the morning.
I will see you in the morning. All right, everybody. We're going to hit the outro. Everybody. Again, that's Rita Lombardi. Her link is posted up at the top of the chat. Go over and donate. She needs some help there, and we'll keep this thing rolling.
Thank you so much, everybody. Have a good night.
All right, good night, everybody. Bye-bye.
True crime, we going deep in the dark. Yeah, peeling back the layers, expose the hidden mark. From the streets to the alleys where the secrets lie. Getting into minds of the wicked, no alibi. True crime. Unraveling the web of evil. No stone left unturned. We dive into the crime. Yeah, we digging up the dirt, bringing justice to the crime. LTL True Crime, unveiling dark realities of the true crime. Unraveling the web of evil. No stone left unturned. We dive into the crime.